This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
The motion to open the meeting. On favor?
Aye.
Wait, you need a second. You're making the motion to open.
I'm making the motion, oh,
Yes, aye.
Aye.
Second that.
Second, sorry. Second aye.
Okay.
public speak time. Does anyone here from the public to speak about anything that's not on the agenda?
Before we roll into public hearings, just thank you everyone for coming. We have a brand new licensing board, so I'm gonna be helping walk them through opening and closing the meetings, opening and closing motions, so be patient with us as we work through this process. You're gonna open each public hearing and close each public hearing.
So we have to open the public hearing to establish the process and an application. ABCC new laws around outdoor extensions of premises as required by law.
Second?
Second?
Yeah.
Aye, second.
So this is just a process that was sent to us. The Alcohol Beverage Control Commission just laid out new extensions of premises under the governor's orders, which were a temporary extension under Order 35 during COVID, which allowed our licensees to do outdoor extensions of premises that would then need to be rolled over by April 1st of this year as a permanent extension of premises. We do have an applicant here tonight that was in the process of that as well. The new permanent order says that any licensee, as approved by the board, can do an extension of premises for outdoor without having to go through the state anymore. So it will be up to the licensing board's discretion on how they want to permit outdoor dining and extension of premises. I connected with a couple local cities and my listserv, and I've been working on a document that I just sent this evening. So no one's had time to look at it, so I would just ask that we take the next 30 days to go over this individually and then come back to a meeting in June and discuss it again.
So I'm gonna make a motion to send it to our next meeting.
Yeah.
Second that.
Thank you.
I oppose.
No.
And you're just gonna close that.
And we close the public hearing on the established process of application.
Second.
Make a motion to open the public hearing for Gigantic seeking outdoor alcohol service.
Okay, so we have that big open window at our bar that opens onto the sidewalk. And there are about 2 spots there for tables in an area that we could then rope off. And for us, that would be a big deal because our space is very small, so it'd be nice to have a couple more tables outside. I spoke to PJ, I don't know if they're here, but I have not met them yet, but they asked me to give the occupancy to see if there's any zoning issues. They said there weren't any. So I guess the question is how we proceed with that. I'm guessing you were just saying that we were pushing that to June for decisions on this kind of stuff, or was it?
So I think that would be for the formal application
Okay.
and process on how you guys wanna move forward when we have applicants like Gigantic come forward saying they wanna extend their outdoor dining and alcohol service premises.
Well, just to be clear, the first one is premises that were extended during the COVID that now wanted to make those permanent, right? There's that issue.
Yes,
And then this is the second issue with a brand new space, correct?
correct.
Okay, so the question is,
So Gigantic would be looking for a brand new space, they wanna do outdoor service on the sidewalk. So the board would have to make an application process,
So create a
regulations,
process for this.
which is what that pamphlet, that document was that I've been working on.
Okay.
Because there would have to be some type of rules and regulations in place for having alcohol on the sidewalk. And we only have one business in town, Nini's, that was grandfathered into being allowed to do that many moons ago.
But the ice cream joint adds pleasant variety to the street. I think it'd be an addition to Easthampton.
Yeah,
Sorry,
kind
but-
of, my feeling about it too is that if other places wanted to do this, the thing about Cottage Street is it's so narrow, we can't block it off like you would do, and plus it's a highway. But it does give it that kind of like atmosphere of people being able to stroll up and down the street and kind of sit down on
like-
spots on the sidewalk during the summer and stuff, and adds to the kind of cultural aspect of the road.
It's like Italy.
Just like it.
That's the other thing, is that we might eventually kind of open it up to people being able to have coffee earlier in the day on the street.
So we have to, there's
But,
no,
you know.
there's no extant application process for somebody who wants to serve on the street right now?
No, because that would have been in previous times an extension of your premises, an alteration of your premises to include alcohol outside of where you've already been licensed to serve. So Gigantic is licensed to serve with their inside service area and bar, but now they're going outside of that. So up until 2 weeks ago, a week ago, they would have to file through the state and then through the local board for an alteration or extension of premises.
Alright.
And now the state's saying it's up to the board.
Okay, so we have to develop a process,
Correct.
okay?
Yeah.
And we
Um,
can't decide on that today, is that what I understand?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
I wouldn't advise on a decision today without a process in place,
Well, we
but
have to see an
that's-
application before we could say yes to it, right?
Sure.
Okay, so can we move to add that to the agenda?
Yeah.
For next
Sure.
meeting? And we'll see then.
Yeah, sounds good.
And hopefully we'll have it all set up for that and you can. have
Yeah,
it.
and we could figure out whatever the
Yeah.
steps would be, like a same kind of thing, like a site plan or something, so you can.
Yeah, the
see
same,
what it
the
looks
same
like.
thing, exactly, just, but ideally we'd have this
Concern is
process ready so that you
Somebody
can show
walking
up
away with a drink.
with your application.
Yeah,
Those
that'd be great.
Ideally.
So, the chair just brought up valid concern that anyone can just walk up and grab a drink off the sidewalk, and that's why these extensions have been in place before, under advisories with needing barriers, fencing, things like that, and they apply to special one-day licenses too. Which would just be something you guys would have to take into consideration on how you wanna monitor that, maybe make requirements of outdoor cameras or something like that,
Can I
so
pose a question?
address it to the board.
Well,
Yeah, sure, once we're finished with this point, absolutely. So Tony, you're concerned, I hear you, right? Somebody could just run up and grab a drink and run away? Is
Well,
that?
it's like, the person sits down and orders a drink, he gets a drink, he picks it up and and walks away. So like when you have one day events, then you have to have an area that's
Right.
roped off somehow and people stay inside that,
I think
with the
that-
boundary.
I think that with the licensing, like when I read what they said,
Mhm.
it basically says that like you can't have an outdoor service area that isn't within the sight line of the employees. So, I mean, luckily for us, like where those tables would be, it's literally like if you're at the bar, you're looking out the
Out
window.
the window, yeah.
And the tables are right there. I mean, I suppose somebody could run away, but
Yeah, there's
I
also,
hope not.
there's also some exemptions to this that are already in place that I've added into here. So I would just suggest the board take some time to look over this and then,
Yeah, let's look it over and put it,
So that's the whole thing that you sent. I just saw
yeah,
the
I've been
first
working on it for,
the
since we
first
got the notice, so
page
it's,
that was going out the
needs to
door,
be-
so I didn't.
yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't had a
sorry.
chance to look at it.
Okay.
yeah, we need time to review.
Yeah, so, in the interest of everybody's time, since we can't, we'll just
Sure.
work on this process in the interim
Mhm.
and then make some sort of formal announcement that we have one.
Yeah,
Okay, sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
So I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on Gigantic's outdoor alcohol service.
all in favor.
Oh,
Motion,
Second.
second, all in favor.
I said all in favor, or she says it? No, he says it.
Everybody says all in favor, unless you're not in favor.
Unless you abstain or oppose.
Yes, all in favor.
Thanks.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So historically, has there ever been an instance where people have grabbed a drink off a table and like,
No, I think, I thought that was my mistaken understanding of what Tony was saying. He's saying like, what's to stop somebody from sitting outside and having a drink and saying like, and just pretending it's New Orleans? You know, just
Right.
walk around anywhere with it, like, and there's ways to get around that, but we have to address that. In the interest of time, we're gonna talk about it later.
Some places you can do that, but not in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Just to chime in, I don't know if that's the process, we've had it, I don't even know how many years at Nini's,
Yeah,
and we've never had anybody walk off with a cocktail or a glass of wine or a beer in the entire history that we've had it.
mhm.
We rented at strictly bar and restaurants, but again, we've never encountered that at all. We do have cameras on the tables outside as well, but it's in terms of like anybody actually doing that, we've never had it, we've never experienced it anyway.
Okay, thanks, that's good to know.
Yeah, of course.
We'll make a motion to open the public hearing for Unbroken Wings, seeking a special one day.
I second that motion.
In favor, aye.
We have Mike and Dave here. Mike heads up Unbroken Wings, and Dave, I can never pronounce your last name, Dave. Capriati runs the Beer Guy truck. And this is their 4th year back here?
Oh, we've been here for almost 9 years, but
Yeah.
4 years doing the fireworks.
Right. Every year they submit an application in whole. Their application is complete. It has all the required documents in it this year. And I will let them give a rundown of what Thunder in the Valley is and what their site plan and IDing plans are for the event.
Thunder in the Valley is a charity event that we raise money for, the Children's Miracle Network at Bay State Children's Hospital. Any profits we get goes to them. We bring the fireworks back to Easthampton. We've been doing that since 2019. It's just an all-day music event. It's completely, the grounds that we're in will be completely fenced in. We ID everyone as they come through the gate. And then from that point on, Dave runs the alcohol and they don't get served if they don't have wristbands. They should have 2 wristbands, one for entrance and one for over 21. Otherwise, they're not served. And if you can fill in anything I left out.
I'm Dave Capriati. I own a company called The Beer Guy. I'm a state Massachusetts licensed alcohol catering vendor. We carry 1 million, 2 million liability, 1 million, 5 million general liability. I've been doing beer events for 15 plus years. Clean as a whistle. My staff of 21 employees, we do ID verifications, whether we do an ID check there. My staff knows that no ID, no beverage. I mean, I've been serving alcohol in Easthampton for years, and we've never had an issue. The amount of cops that we have to hire for the event is, phenomenal. They walk around, they hang out, they talk to us. I know them very well. We take care of our patients, our patrons that come in. I have first right of refusal. My staff does the same thing. If I feel somebody's had too much to drink or one too many, cut them off. I'm sorry. Here's a free glass of water. And have a seat, relax. Nobody bothers us. It's not a drunken bash. It's never been a drunken bash. It's a fundraiser. We're up to close to $89,000 for donating to Bay State Children's Miracle Makers. And I think we're pretty dang proud of what we do for the hospital.
Dave, just while we are in a public hearing, can you let the board know what type of alcohol you're serving and from what vendors and from where?
I purchase 90% of my alcohol from Quality Beverage, which used to be Williams Beverages. Now they're owned by Martinetti. They've sold out 3 times. I also purchase from Commercial Beverage. I purchase wine from Hardwick Winery. We do promotional deals through Stateside, which they donate alcohol to us that we can sell, and we use that money to donate to the hospital. Tito's is a big sponsor with us also, so we do Tito's seltzers and soda. So the same thing, so if they give me 50 cases of seltzers and 50 cases of based alcohol drink, we'll sell the based alcohol drink, and at the end of my POS system, if I've made $3,000 selling it, then that goes to the hospital. That's why we've been able to be successful. Without them, we'd be out of business. They do all our printing, our signs. We had a big meeting with them. Mike and I had a meeting with them, with Brian this morning. All my servers are all Mass Tip certified, not the online one that you do, because it's only a 2-hour course. Quality beverage, actually, you gotta sit in a room, you have to take the test, and gotta get the exam. If you don't pass, you don't get tip certified, you don't go to work for me. So, that's how we work.
I just wanted to make that clear because in the past, we've had people concerned about seeing signage for Hardwick Winery, and other places like that. But so it's clear, Dave is doing the service of the alcohol during the
Whether
event.
I buy it whether, we don't buy anything from a package store, everything is bought through a wholesaler. Whether I buy wine from Hardwick or I buy it from Brignall's, there's a new place in South Hadley, the Wine House, they do wholesale wine sales. Wherever I buy it from, we do that as a resale to sell it. So.
But they just help.
They
Like
come-
state line's good.
State line is a huge help to us because they'll actually send their reps there. So I don't have to pay somebody $20 an hour for 10 and a half hours to, sell their product. They'll actually send their volunteer staff and say, how many staff people do you need? I say, 2's great, for 5 hours, they can come from 1 to 6, and if they wanna stay, they can stay. And I'm usually a nice guy at the end of the event, all the tips get pooled into one, and everybody gets split up and everybody shares. So we treat everybody fair.
Thanks.
The fireworks are awesome. If you guys have never been, it's great. We're limiting in our food this year, so we want everybody to have a good time.
So what happens with special one-day licenses is they're now done through our online portal, and I'm the only one who sees those essentially, next to the applicants. And what we require is tip certification, a site plan, and what else do I require?
Liability.
Liquor liability. Well, we added Hospitality Mutual now added general liability to my
Yeah.
state liquor license. So they recommended 2 million, 5 million of the general liability, just in case,
So as long as an applicant has submitted the 3 required documents, made the payment, and attends the meeting, then I leave it up to the board to decide whether or not. So Dave and Mike have submitted those 3 documents. They've outlined the site plan,
So you
and
have
they've
all-
made the payment. So I have everything that they need for a completed application. What
They've
the board,
uploaded everything?
Yep.
That's required?
it's required.
You can't just bring a document to the meeting?
No, it has to be, because your application is now online, so everything stays in that portal for FOIAs and for any informational checks or things like that.
And you
'cause-
have all of these documents in your
Yep, they're
possession?
all inside the portal.
And
Payment was made.
my state liquor license when I buy my liquor liability insurance, I don't make a liquor liability monthly payment. I save money because I just make the one lump payment at the start of the year, and it's paid for the whole year. So there's no chance of somebody putting a claim in and saying, oh, that policy was canceled 90 days ago. It can't happen, so. First American Insurance, Lindsay can verify, you can verify insurance just by calling a documented agent, so it's,
So we have everything we need from you?
yes. Yeah, I mean, I've been in business 15 years, I have too much to lose not to do something.
I think we're good. Yeah.
No other questions? Somebody wanna make a motion to approve, Unbroken Wings Thunder in the Valley?
Is that just,
So anybody but the chair can make a motion
I
to
make a
approve
motion to
it?
approve it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Here we go. Look at us.
Getting it.
Okay, great, thank you. You guys are all set? I'll put that through, so then the back end of this is then I'll go back to the office tonight or tomorrow morning and I'll activate your those electronic signatures on the license, and they'll automatically get it.
I'll just print it out like I
Sure.
do always.
Okay,
Okay.
great, thank you guys.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
To close that too.
Yeah, you know you don't have to stay here.
Motions to close.
Still have to do the
No, you can just
Alright.
open the public
Yeah.
hearing, do them all, and then close the public
the
hearing
big
at the
thing,
end.
this is what we're all really.
Okay.
That's
so
coming up.
There's a
close all the public hearings. Thank you. Alright,
I do.
So the next one is cultural chaos applications. Gigantic seeking special one day for cultural chaos.
okay, that's you again. Tag.
Yeah,
I was
I
gonna,
think you've got all the information, right, that I sent in?
Yep. so.
The site plan.
Yeah, and just so you know, so the board doesn't see these applications, so
Okay.
you'll have to give them a rundown of what your plan is for cultural chaos. I'll also let the board know, since we've opened this public hearing, yes?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't hear the motion, sorry. That to do special one days, you need to have a separate point of sale register than the one you have inside. So some of our veteran applicants know this, but just so the board knows, there has to be a separate cash register outside where the special one day is happening, opposed to the one you're having inside, because you have to be able to see the delineation of sales from your special and your actual licensed premises.
And to be clear, when you say cash register, it could just be some sort of, tablet, really,
Yeah.
modern.
Sure, yeah. You don't need to lug a whole, yeah. And that's not a local requirement, that's a state requirement. So yeah, just give a rundown of.
Yeah, so we have, like I was saying before, we have the open window, we put our register there, so people kind of line up on the street. So it's like, we're kind of selling from the window almost like, and then we have tables and chairs out front, it's covered with a tent. That's basically it. I know it's beer and wine, because we
Yes.
talked about that. My one question about this is that, is it okay to do things like adding seltzer to wine? Like a spritz sort of thing?
Yeah, I would
That
think that's
be
okay,
legal?
cause it's not, yeah,
So anything that's beer and wine,
Beer and
basically,
wine.
but no hard alcohol.
correct.
Okay, that's easy enough. Yeah, so that's what we'll do, probably beer and wine, spritzes and seltzer.
And you also, you're gonna have, that's gonna be, delineated with,
We have roped off
Okay.
thing, so it'll be roped off and,
and it's
it'll be
like I
barrier.
said, it's a straight shot from inside to the outside.
Exactly, and
You
we
can see
probably
everything.
won't have we'll do regular service at night, but we probably won't have anybody actually within the space during the day, so it'll all be outside within maybe we will, but I don't think so, I think it'll just be that little area.
So the board knows the cultural committee, what's it called, Julia? Cultural district committee, thank you, has brought concerns year after year, and last year was pretty upsetting for them that there was alcohol throughout the streets. And to be clear, we do not go through city council process to allow drinking in the streets. All service and alcohol consumption needs to stay within the roped off premises during cultural chaos and special one days. I sent an email to every licensee too, letting you guys know any violation of this will be brought forward to the board this year. Johnny.
I saw that.
Do I read your emails? Come on, let's be honest.
Could we close down could we make the street?
You should.
So the cultural committee prefers not to do that, cause they want this to stay an event that's not focused around alcohol, or they want it to be more family focused, more shop focused. And that requires the chief of police and the city council
So the cultural.
dropping
committee
the
of
ordinance for the day.
So the cultural committee of the city of Easthampton.
The host of cultural chaos do not want it to be,
Okay, so it's not.
Done that way.
Okay, so it's their event,
right,
so they don't want it.
right,
Okay.
essentially. But it has been asked many times.
So, okay, yeah, if they don't want it,
Should be asked again.
Everyone can ask every year, so they wish.
right?
In the very beginning, the committee did want it, there was one specific resident on the street who didn't want it, and that resident has moved away. They're the ones who kept calling the cops on us for noise.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
But in the beginning, there was one resident that stopped that,
Yeah.
and they're not there.
Because ultimately, the problem is, if you got people bringing in their own booze, okay, and they're not supporting the local, establishment, so it's like you can't, it's like prohibition, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, but I don't think we're talking
right,
about
right.
people bringing their own booze in, we're talking about.
But they do.
Well, sure, of course, yeah, yeah.
But it takes away from the environment, because then you got people bringing in booze, and they're not buying beer and wine.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it would be making
Well, that's
more
against the law,
civilized.
so if they do it, they can
Yeah.
get busted.
We've
But
never
they-
had an issue with.
I don't
that.
always drive 65 either, but,
Well, then I'm going to.
yeah. Yeah, but we gotta have them.
Fair.
Okay, so where are we at now?
If you wanna approve Gigantics.
Make a motion to approve the gigantic special one day.
We have to make a motion to approve it, yes. I'll make a motion to approve that special
Second.
one day.
Favor?
All in favor? I'm in favor.
Okay. Next,
You're done. Thanks, Ned.
Thanks.
Public hearing for Valley Art seeking a special one day for cultural chaos.
Oh, that's me. Hi. So yeah, Cultural Chaos, this will be our first year doing beer and wine outside. We're also gonna be doing lemonade as well. So we'll have sangria, beer and wine and lemonade. And we'll have a roped off area as well. We'll have a tent up. We'll have our separate register and some chairs and like a couch. And we'll have staff outside and staff inside.
Are you running the bar during the day inside?
Yes. But people drinking like a margarita, so we're gonna have people at our doors as well, but people drinking like a margarita, we were not gonna let them bring it outside, just to clarify.
But that's the storefront.
Well, that's a little, this is the front, it says storefront here, but then area.
Yeah, that's the road, that's the street.
That's the street,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, okay.
Most people say like, what is that?
So again, Juliet submitted application in full, all 3 documents are there, payment was made, and that's the site plan that she
More questions? Make a motion to approve Valley Arts one day.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Open the public hearing for Nini seeking special one day.
See you later.
Here's that one.
So Nini's already has permission to sell on the sidewalk, so we just kind of go through this to make Lindsay happy. But again, we're just gonna do beer and wine outside like everybody else, but we got pizza and freezer food and things of that nature. But we'll rope it off just exclusively for this event, and we don't anticipate doing any alcohol out there. We actually close the restaurant until the event's over anyway, so we let people use the bathrooms, but we don't do food inside or drinks inside on the day.
And so would you say you don't, but if somebody wanted a glass of wine, they could get one?
No, we don't even do that. We won't even have a
You won't.
bartender, we won't have a bartender inside at all until 4 o'clock when we actually open the doors. So really it's just kind of exclusive. We don't open for lunch anyway, so it's just kind of us kind of hanging out and, supporting the local community.
It's like a sort of a public seating area.
Just a fenced in area, just having pizza and enjoy yourself while the event goes on. There you go. But we might do, something, I don't know, but we're gonna stick to just beer and wine anyways, outside.
So
Lindsay's happy. Well, we're gonna do alcohol outside, just beer and wine, yeah. We won't do full alcohol, even though we have the ability to do full alcohol on our sidewalks.
Sure.
We're just gonna do beer and wine to stick to the curriculum of the event.
So the state of Massachusetts, not Lindsay's law, requires
Whatever.
It sounds better.
special one-day applications can only be beer and wine for profited events. For non-profit events, you can do all alcohol. And this is Johnny's site plan.
Familiar with it.
And his application is complete, all 3 documents and payment.
Yes.
I love that portal.
Wait, you gotta get voted on, you don't even know.
Assuming it's gonna go through that.
All right, go. All right.
Yes.
Motion to approve?
I second that motion.
Seconded?
Favor?
Aye.
Okay, now you.
Thank you guys for working. See ya. All right.
Open the public hearing for Amy's Place seeking special one day.
Hi, I'm Amy.
Same thing, we've been doing it for years, we do food on one side, it's all tented, roped off, right next to Gigantic. We divide there, so they're on their side, we're on our side, same thing, beer and wine. We do draft beer, only outside, and like sangrias and stuff like that, seltzers. You don't go like by hand drawing. It would have taken me longer to try to
Is it
figure
to
it out on
scale?
there. It's exactly the scale.
Amy's application was complete and on time with payment.
I move to approve.
A
Motion
second.
to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks.
Okay, open the public hearing for luthiers seeking special one day for cultural chaos.
Who's here from the Luthiers?
Yeah, so I have a site plan and this is to scale. Oh, you guys have a copy?
Yeah, we have a copy.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, the goal is to just do an extension of the dining room onto the sidewalk. In previous years, we've just had merchandise tables, some classic motorcycles set up. But because the inside is a humidity controlled atmosphere for the guitars, the doors can't just be open. So sometimes if it's a really bright sunny day, it just looks like a closed business front. So we're hoping the extension of tables and chairs outside can like just let people know, hey, it's open, things are happening. But indoors is business as usual. Outdoors would just be an extension of that, obviously minus alcohol. It's just beer, wine, malt beverages at the outside tables. And that is the roped area that is in that segment, so.
You guys have been using the same bar as the small, it's the restaurant bar, is that the bar?
Yeah.
You don't use the satellite bar anymore?
There's draft lines hooked up to that satellite bar also, and that's all still to code. There's multiple draft lines on that.
So you'll be using,
It could easily transform into a bar for that day so that it's separate. So there will be a separate point of sale outside.
it doesn't really much matter which bar they.
I mean,
In terms of state.
No, it's the same.
No, it's just a separate point of sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna have
It'd
added
be
the next.
outside.
Yeah. Well, you have like three as opposed to two.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
One for each bar and one for outside. Right.
Well, you don't need one for each bar inside, I don't think.
I mean, we just have multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just an extra additional point of sale outside.
Copy.
Yeah, application was complete, paid.
Motion to.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Applications. So moving on to Tip Top.
Okay. Open the public hearing for, excuse me, Tip Top Wine Shops seeking special one day for Food Truck Fridays.
Here's the site plan. So Lauren brought forth an idea, an application for adding onto or joining with Matt at Abandoned Building for service at Food Truck Fridays. The board has already approved all the Food Truck Friday events for Abandoned Building, so this is just a Tip Top as an addition to Food Truck Friday events. You can explain anything you'd like.
Yeah, we wanna pour wine at the Food Truck Fridays, for people who want wine. And we just kind of want to be within that perimeter that's already existing and has already been approved. The ID check happens at the gate from my experience and understanding in the past. And we'll just have a little table and tent and doing our thing with a separate point of sale out there, separate from the shop.
And will it be separate from the abandoned building as well?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess sort of like any of the food vendors or something.
And this is for Food Truck Fridays, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
Correct.
And can I ask a question? Where within Food Truck Fridays, so I know he has the food trucks in the back and entrance at the front, and band in the far right, where would you be set up?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I've received approval to be part of this from Matt, from Abandoned Building, but I don't know exactly where our spot's gonna be.
Okay.
Yeah, does it matter?
I mean, just for personal reference.
Oh, yeah. I think, just so you know where to park.
Right.
With the GPS.
Application complete, payments made, yeah, I had no further permitting
And they
requirements on
have
my
all
end.
the stuff.
Correct.
And when something, I was curious, just for something that, if somebody else wanted to join, Food Truck Friday.
Sure.
Do they have to go through the whole application process? Like, as if,
Yeah, because it's their business that's
Right, right.
applying to be a part of it.
so all the things that abandoned building had to do, even
They
though
have.
they're kind of covered within it,
Correct.
they still have to do it.
Yeah, and the state also requires licensees, each individual licensee, to only have up to 30 special one days. So
Right.
if they were to like tail onto an application, it wouldn't count appropriately for their business.
yeah,
So
okay.
they
Good,
need,
good
everyone
point.
needs their
Right, right.
separate application to count their numbers of special one days throughout the year.
And can we approve all of these 1 days at once, or does each one need a motion?
No, you can approve all of them at once. One thing the city has previously decided from the local board is that you can do one application with multiple dates on it, as long as we're keeping tally of those dates.
I move to approve.
My second.
Favor?
You can vote, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, great.
Put my 23 BC in there.
All right.
There's a 23 B3. Yeah, that's the one.
Those the ones.
That's the one I had.
All right, Fort Hill.
Open a public hearing for a Fort Hill speaking special 1 day for cruise nights.
So, my name is Eric, we're gonna continue what we did during COVID. We had cruise nights, which was a success.
What is a cruise night, Eric?
You just, I guess, the older generation.
Oh, you mean like a driving your old
Cars,
cars?
yeah.
Oh, cool,
Yeah.
alright.
The older generation, they've got the funds and whatnot to,
Yeah, no,
you know, have
that's like a
vehicles. So it's usually an event attended by older people that bring their fancy cars, and they kinda hang out. They buy some beer, they look at each other's cars, and then by dusk, they kinda hightail it out of there slowly.
So I just wanted to bring something to the board's attention before they vote on these special 1 days individually, because Eric has already put in an application for a permanent extension of premises based on the governor's order. I am concerned that this would fall under that, and that we shouldn't approve special 1 days or charge for special 1 days, as it would be an extension of the premises now.
Has that been approved?
We had on this picture, we had this part approved by the planning board and I guess your board, that I guess you guys weren't probably part of because you weren't here. But we decided out of respect for our neighbors, we decided not to do this. But we did find that an alternative event was successful for us, and we are sort of in our own island. We do have staff, on that night, we've got 3 staff that are present, so we don't have, children.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is the place where you had your previous extension?
Correct.
And this is the one that during the last meeting you applied to extend the permission
No,
for?
we applied for this one over here.
The new one?
The new one over.
Okay.
But because Barks and Brews, because the marathon, and because cruise night is going to be now part of our repertoire, otherwise we'd be coming back here
No, I hear you. So
multiple times, and we've already, it has been like, we already discussed previously that the fenced-in area was, for safety concerns, it was already viable. And in reality, we're just moving it to the paved spots. We're not gonna, because, you want a bar to be kind of close and, intimate, this, that, and the other. This is really only, we're applying for this permit really for only, let's say, 13 days of the year, which are mostly cruise nights. And then we've got the 5K race, and then we've got Barks and Brews. So this would just sort of eliminate the need to come in front of the board every single year.
Right, yeah, just, no, it's, I think the issue here, Lindsay, is that you're also applying for an extension of premise for this, permanent.
Yes.
And you're also applying for one-day licenses for this area.
That's why it's a little discombobulated.
Right.
So
That's
right
it,
now,
yeah.
so right now on the agenda, we are set up for, I think, 6.
Yeah, for special one days. But so I guess my thought process was if the special one days fall under the area of the extension of the premises, then they shouldn't be special one days?
Well, you wouldn't have to,
'Cause
I
it
mean, you
would be
shouldn't
the
have to spend
outdoor
that money
service.
either for,
Right, but I knew that this just sort of,
Yeah.
you know, the governor's.
It came after the
It
application
came after the
point.
application, and I figured that there would be more discussion. I'm surprised that my neighbors aren't here. But I'm open to further,
Okay, so to be clear,
discussion.
this outlined area here
Yes,
is the proposed extension of premise.
correct.
And that application is in?
It
Sort
is-
of.
They're waiting for information from you, correct?
Are they?
I think so.
Yeah.
What information are they waiting for?
After the last meeting, I think you said there was information missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, for the patio?
For this extension of
For the
premise.
extension.
Wait a minute.
Well, no, alright, cause in reality, so during COVID, they weren't really, so, you know, people were gonna walk through the parking lot and to get into this area. So it was sort of implied that this area was going to, you know, be permitted. However, so we've decided that we're not gonna bother our neighbors, we're going to, this part was permitted during COVID.
Right, and this would have been was this the one you applied to
No. That was just the patio.
So, okay, so my question here is this a different?
Yes.
We can still, you know, extend this premise here as opposed to here, right?
I believe so, under the
Yes.
new orders for
We're
outdoor
in
service.
charge now
You're in charge
of-
now,
of
not the state.
outside premises, as long as we check all the
Right.
boxes.
And I guess I would just make one suggestion. If we're pushing this off for other people to have an application process and procedures in place, that we would also push it off for anyone else asking, but approve at least the June application date, so he doesn't miss out on those.
All right, and I just wanna be clear, so if he gets this permanently, you know,
Yeah.
extended, you won't need one day out licenses.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, so, yeah, you don't wanna be applying for all these right now, you just wanna do the one, be safe.
I want,
The extension is already in, the
It's
permanent
in,
extension is
yeah.
already in. The state has already said the local board has the decision for any outdoor service.
Right.
That's
I'm just saying it's-
attached
yeah,
to the
right.
premises.
So like, just so, yeah, you don't wanna pay all these if that's gonna be permanent, right? Just pay for the one and we'll figure out, and we'll, you know, that process will go, right? Make sense?
so it's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Right, so I guess just what would you wanna do for June? I mean, does this fall under the outdoor guidance?
Well, it's the same as any, I see what you're saying. Well, it's not, I think that was sidewalk related. The process that we're gonna be discussing that we have for Ned is only for sidewalks, correct?
No, it's for outdoor dining service as an extension of your premises. So
How is this different than,
The last meeting, I think I saw something that you sent that said that the ABCC said there was 2 things that were missing.
yes.
And you never saw that, Eric?
I believe that our ABCC application is complete. However, it is because of the new laws that's been passed 2 weeks ago, ultimately my ABCC application is irrelevant. We're still gonna get it done, cause we've already done it. But I whatever was incomplete was probably like a check, or Sue has spent a lot of time to make sure that application is complete.
well, regardless of whether that's complete or not, we can get it fixed if it isn't fixed, right?
Yeah, that's going through the ABCC. We're going to go through the state. We've already started, we're gonna finish it. You know,
I just didn't know if there was something that they thought was missing that you didn't realize was missing, so that you could take care of that, so
it was, It was like a check or something.
Under the new guidance from the state, it is that the local board will approve any service outside of the already licensed premises that's attached to the premises. So wherever his approved premises is, anything outside of that attached adjacent to it, you would go through this process and say, you are now allowed to do outdoor alcohol service in this area. But you'll still have to define the areas and go through that and there still has to be a formal application put in
Alright,
on the local
And
end.
because we held off on
And be-
gigantic,
Correct, that wasn't just exclusive to sidewalks, that's just because the new guidance from the state is out saying that you have to do this as a local board, and it no longer has to go through. So the board could approve the special 1 days, or approve some of them and come back contingent on the board's making a process, or however you wanna vote.
So why don't we do the 1 days first, and then I come back on June?
Well, that would be my suggestion to the board, is to approve June's special 1 day so he can move forward with cruise nights while the board sorts through an application process.
And then we'll then
And
we'll go
come
through the
back to the
process
June
together,
meeting, and
we'll-
if at the June meeting, the board still doesn't have an application process, then you would continue to do the special 1
the
day.
state approval process take for getting this,
30 to 90 days upon a complete application received.
and then once that is.
that's for the permanent one, not.
But that's for the
No, I
permanent
know,
extension.
But if that's approved, then he's not gonna have to apply for the special 1 days anymore.
Correct,
If the board approves an application for outdoor service.
Yes.
which we
Which
still
we
have
need
to
to do
figure out.
before the
Still
next
have to
meeting.
Yeah, alright, thanks for taking time
This-
with that, I was a little confused.
The new regulations from the state is like a blessing, but it's also a curse in the moment of figuring it all out, so.
Alright, so, yeah, so how do we can just amend, do we just amend this to say, how do we go forward with that first date so he can start rolling?
I would suggest that the board make a motion to approve June special 1 day licenses with review at the June meeting for further licenses.
Oh, so, May,
There's one in May, right?
May, you mean May?
May and June.
Correct, I'm looking at the wrong
That's right, so
section.
just the May
Sorry.
one, just the first one.
I would do May 22nd, June 5th, and June 19th.
Well, how about all of them, because I've already paid for it, and who knows how long this is already gonna take.
Oh, you have already paid for all of them?
Yeah, you have to pay for your applications.
Oh, yeah, yeah, just didn't, you have to pay for them before they're approved?
Yes.
What if
This
they're
is
not, what if
government.
they're not approved? Do they get it back?
No.
Are you kidding?
From the state?
It's government.
But I did put a section
This
in
is
here.
government too.
I did put a
That's
section
crazy.
in here for the board to review that, so if the board chooses that they want to implement a policy under the policy that says that you can, the only thing we cannot refund, which I know indefinitely, is the application fee. That's part of city revenue for the paperwork and meetings.
For the 1 days,
For
For
any
anything.
application that comes through the license.
so what could we refund?
So you have a $50 filing fee, application fee with the city, and then you're charged $75 per special 1 day.
And that goes to the state?
No.
Okay, goes to the city as well?
That also is the city.
And we can,
So if denied, I would imagine the board can make a process that you refund that $75 per event
we'll
fee
make that motion, for sure. Okay, but so for now,
for now.
the first three, oh, you said you already paid for them, but I'll see if we can try to get you some of that money back if this thing gets permanent.
I'm not worried about it.
Alright, if you're not worried about it, I'm not gonna worry about it. So you wanna make, do you have any other questions? I was a little confused there for a second, but I think I got it.
it. So it's just the first three that we're
Yep.
approving.
Mhm.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the first 3 dates,
May 22nd.
and then we'll reconvene to see if the permanent one
Right,
is passed. Is
yeah,
that
well, we
how
have to figure out a process whereby they can
So on June
apply
fourth,
for
we're
the
gonna,
permanent one.
so on June 4th, we'd come back with an application that is up to the standards of the board, correct?
Well, no, we're gonna, for this, we have to figure out an application, like a
Right.
process, so hopefully that's gonna be done before the next one, we don't know.
Alright, and
Hopefully.
and we'll work
But
with you on
we'll get
figuring
you
that
started, yeah, we'll get you started with those first dates.
Sounds
And if for some reason we don't have an application or process finalized that can be voted on at that meeting, then they can approve special one days moving forward.
Sounds good.
Alright.
I figured it'd be, that's why
Yeah.
we're doing the
Thanks,
buffer.
yeah.
Motion to approve the first three dates, 5/22, 6/5, and 6/19.
I'll second that.
Favor?
All right,
Thank you, folks.
Yeah, thanks.
thanks, Eric.
Open the public hearing for City Space seeking multiple special one days.
Here's their site plan. How are you? Yes, City Space is a 501c3 that manages and restores Old Town Hall as a center for the arts. We have the Blue Room that is a 232 standing, 100 seated space. And we're looking for multiple one-day licenses starting from May 19th to October 26th. We're trying to get as many as possible and for that application fee, because if we can do more at one time, it doesn't cost us as much overall. So there's a variety, all concerts, some are seated and some are standing. Would you like me to go through the list of them, the concerts themselves?
But these are all for all these dates are for specific concerts and events?
Correct. So they're each for a specific concert or event that's happening in the Blue Room. We'll have a bar. We have 2 locations for the bar depending on the event. We have tip certified servers for all events. And we buy through commercial and ABB or Glendale Ridge.
And how are IDs checked?
Through at the bar, so
At the bar,
tip certified, unless it's a 200-person event where we'll have a check at the door and then also at the bar, so we doubly check.
So you have those staff on hand just in case you get real busy?
Absolutely. And so when people are coming in and out, we know also when they leave the building during intermission and need to come back in, they'll have their wristband.
Okay. Yeah, and you have all the documents? And
Burns
you've previously
is a thorough
yes, previously done this before Burns in the first meeting, so.
Yeah.
Motion, does anybody have any questions? Motion to approve?
I second that motion.
In favor?
Aye.
Open a public hearing for THCC seeking new general on-premises wine and malt.
Hello.
Here's the city space.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, here's the floor.
Great, and thank you. So real quick, this is an application for a new license. This is a general on-premises beer and wine license that became available because a business did not renew their license this season for their general on-premises wine and malt, which makes it available to the city. Do you guys call yourselves Thick?
Yeah.
For sure.
Alright, so Thick has provided an application, they've, done a lot of work for this and followed guidance from both building and our department. On here, you'll have the rundown of everything that needs to be in the application. My role is to make sure that everything is here, and then the board's role is to really comb through it, make sure all the signatures, Corey forms match, Social Security's match on the forms versus Corey forms. And then you would sign the LAC form. If the board approves the license tonight, I would then send this to the state and it goes into their review process for 30 to 90 days. If approved on them, then they are now a licensee of Easthampton.
But, so, we will vote to approve tonight.
Yes,
You don't automatically send that, because we have to sign it.
you sign it tonight. If you approve it, you sign it.
Well, I'm gonna have to look at it.
Yeah,
That's why we're here.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I did try to get it.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Earlier, because I'd like to have this stuff done before and not waste
Understood,
anybody's time. But I'm gonna have to look through the whole
Sure.
thing right now.
That's fine, I
I'm
took the day off of work
Yeah,
today.
we're
Can you tell us more about?
Yeah, what does THCC?
Sure, that stands for the Heavy Culture Cooperative. We're a cooperative business and incorporated as such with the state, kind of similar, say, to River Valley Co-op, the grocery store. My name's Tim Burrow.
It's not your
I'm
fault.
the president of the organization. Tom Peak is on the board, as is Nicole Walensky, who's gonna be our bar manager. We have Liam Malone's another one of our board members. So we've been seeking a physical space to have a music venue, which the beer and wine license would be a major component of course. So we recently found the space on 1 Adams Street, and we're in process now of having we're starting the process to have a Chapter 34 code review done to make sure that everything's gonna be up to code when it gets to the phase of the building commissioner. So we're having Oxbow Design Build do that, who is also a co-op, so they've been helping us out with that. So the capacity of the space will be 49 people. Trying to think if there's any other major points to hit as far as the physical space, but really our goal has been to kind of democratize and make fair the underground music scene, where fans, musicians, people that really care about underground music and art typically aren't the ones who necessarily benefit from the events that we've been kind of putting on informally already. So we wanted to set up a cooperative business to make sure that musicians were compensated fairly, that the staff were compensated fairly, and had a ownership share in the organization that would be running the venue. Any other particular questions that we can answer?
So this is, you're gonna put up a new building?
No, it was Mantis Graphics.
Okay.
And that has been subdivided into two. So we have the subdivision kind of on the left-hand side of what was Mantis Graphics.
So that's the one that's.
Right over there, yeah.
Yeah.
So there is an intent of lease in there. Basically, if we don't get a liquor license, we're not going to open a venue. But the landlord is very eager to working with us. I've been in the bar scene. I manage a brewery up in Greenfield for the last 3 years on top of bartending and working at various venues. So I do have expertise in checking IDs, making sure.
Tip certification in here and all that sort of stuff.
I don't have my tip certification included with that, but I am tips and ServSafe certified.
So it's not necessary for a new transfer or anything like that. It's required for renewal of your license to have that information in there.
So I can get a new license and not be tip certified, but if I
Correct.
renew my license, I have to be tip certified?
Correct.
So I am, if that is an issue.
No, I just didn't know if,
That
if it
is
has to
weird.
be,
Yeah.
that's
Because-
really not, yeah.
Because you don't know who your manager is gonna be until the board actually
Okay,
approves it.
that makes sense.
And then
A
you
little
don't know who your
shading there.
employees
Yeah.
will be until after. So once you've been up and running and you go for your renewal, you can say,
Yeah,
Nicole
sort
is
of like a
definitely
little breathing
she's the
room.
manager on the application, she must be tip certified.
So we should start, I don't mean to go ahead.
Yeah, no, and to help alleviate some of the pressure on this situation, so the board knows, so the applicants know, if something is missed on this application, it doesn't automatically get denied by the state. What they'll do is they'll send an RNA, which is a return no action, and they'll list exactly what needs to happen. So if a signature is missing on one page, but it's on another page, so it doesn't fall as heavily on the board
So
in
when
this
does that,
moment.
what's usually, the turnaround's pretty quick on that, right?
Yeah.
It was last meeting,
I
so
would
3
say,
or 4 days.
yeah, I would say about 90% of our applications come back with an RNA with minor tweaks that need to be made. One thing I do need on this application that was missing on submissions, and I apologize for not reaching out sooner, is I need to know the square footage for your on-premise description. We need to have that on that top LAC form.
Okay, I know I wrote it somewhere else in there. Is that
Okay.
something that I can write down right
could
now?
actually find this a lot
Yeah,
quicker than I could.
sure.
And so is this, only gonna be open when there are concerts, or is this something that's like open every night and you can just go out and do that?
So, as a side note, the landlord bought all this stuff to make a coffee shop and whatnot. So we would not only be renting all the refrigerators, ice makers, but possibly running a coffee shop during daylight business hours. We can't do music. There's a yoga studio next door until 5. So we have to co-live with them, but it would be open during the day and then at night, that would be kind of when it changes
events
over
at the
to
Bureau.
events.
But it's a
So I
different
just filled it in. This is the
space?
form.
The
you
Same
filled out.
space.
Right.
same space.
And that I
Okay.
just left it blank
Basically,
there and I just pulled it off
Put
of here.
tables out and we would take those out.
But what they're looking
But will
at
it
is
only be open at night
to
for
match the
events, or will it be
description
open
you're
at
citing.
night, just like,
Oh, okay.
you know, it's
Um,
Tuesday, I'm bored, I wanna go.
I mean, if we had
I just
any
hammered
sort
it
of
in.
events, I think they'd be
Oh, okay.
more of like meetings, get-togethers,
I just don't wanna
possibly
take
playing
it
board
without-
games, nothing,
Confirmation.
But, I
nothing
think-
like
so-
entertainment.
But I think
I
the
just
the
filled
question
this
is, are we
in
gonna be
based on
open
here.
for regular business on nights where we don't have music or something
So it
else?
should be awesome.
Is it
Well,
just like a
is that-
bar?
is that the
Yeah.
I think
question?
ideally,
Yes.
yeah, part of what we're leveraging is the fact that we do have a lot of talented, creative people, a lot of certified people within food service, dining services, cafe service. And what we want to explore is how we can utilize the space best, including during the day. The primary operation and what the license would be specifically geared toward is nighttime service, nighttime events, you know, and if it's Tuesday night and we have volunteers or bar staff that we're able to staff, obviously, but most of it would be for event nights.
And we're also, if there was a full liquor license available, we would be applying for that. But there's not one. So we're thinking if we are able to get this, down the road, one becomes available.
Yeah, sure.
So you can apply to like
Yeah.
switch it out?
So I advised the best I could that it's better to get in here with this and then a transfer or a license change in type is so much easier than waiting, not getting something.
Right.
And really, I've been reaching out to since 2020 for more licenses, so
Have they said no?
they've said nothing.
Oh.
And
Aren't they
there's-
supposed to leave that up to us?
No,
It's the
it's not,
legislation.
it's legislation, it's not local, and
No, but, I mean, when we send a request in, you sent a request in?
I've sent a request in,
And they just haven't answered you
correct,
for 2 years?
correct.
It's not at all uncommon. The legislature just doesn't do stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
sorry,
I've
I shouldn't
reached out.
say that.
I have reached out to our state reps and I think it
Well,
would
they're
be
pretty quick
appropriate
about telling
to
you what you
follow
don't
up
have,
after the
but
next
denying your license.
And
But
nobody
this
else
isn't
has
the
applied for
licensing
this.
board, this is the state legislature.
Yeah, I understand.
It's a law that would have to get passed to.
correct to allow
Do it.
more licenses. And just for a timeline, my predecessor in 2017 filed for a new round of licenses, which became available in 2020, which then expired by 2023, but
Oh, I
we
thought that was
spent.
just permanent, so that was just a batch that you could ask for? The
So it was a
legislators-
batch we asked for, we received, but if they weren't implemented or used by March 1st, 2023, then they absolved back to the state. Well, they weren't used because we hit COVID and nothing was allowed to be open for service. So that was kind of a part of my plea too, was like, hey, no one was able to use
Right.
these, give them back to us. And
Haven't addressed that?
I think after the next election, we can
Alright, well, we don't have
press
to
on
get
it.
into that. So I'm all for all of this. I think part of this application, and, well, first of all, I'm not gonna make you sit here while I go through this.
Okay.
If you guys are okay with just signing something we haven't read, just haven't read this, I'm just gonna go on faith that it's complete, get the process going. You might be denied in a few days. When that happens,
The state will outline exactly, probably articulate it much better than I could myself
Right.
or a board member of what they're looking for.
Sure.
So if they say that lease is insufficient, which I don't know if this type of lease is permissible, they'll say, we can't do this. We need a fully executed lease saying that you're gonna do this. So,
Right, okay, so for whatever reason it gets sent back, or
Yeah.
something we missed because we didn't read it,
they'll let us know.
they'll let us know, but how far does that kick the can down the road for these guys?
It doesn't.
So if they got a list of things they needed to do and they put it in the next day, how long would they be?
Then they ask for 30 to 90 days upon a completed application.
So we don't have to like re-meet with you
Yeah, we
if
don't
something
contact
does.
next
Right, I'm just trying to make
Okay.
this
Yeah,
not
yeah, well,
like
we
a
don't-
thing, like,
we're
'cause
learning
I'm not
too.
gonna,
Yeah.
this is gonna take, I'm,
Well,
you know,
9 pages are all of our Cory checks that are notarized that we
Yeah,
got.
I'm just like normally I would have looked this up and down and had notes and said, you're missing this, you're missing that, and I can't do that. I could,
That's
if you
my
guys wanna
error,
wait
so I
around, that's okay,
apologize.
that's a way. if you wanna wait around, I'll be happy to sit here and read it.
I mean, look, I've got another meeting here in 5
All right then, if you guys are
What is
okay with
this
this
spot that I
process,
missed?
that you might get
I
kicked.
filled it out. So I grabbed the 1,341 square feet off of your third page there and put it handwritten on that first page,
Okay.
description of premises.
Okay.
And that top form is called an LAC form, licensing authority certification. And if it comes back no action, they ask for more stuff, you're gonna give that back to me and I'm gonna hit reconsideration in the top right there and send it back through the portal, so the board's not involved in anything after. You're basically approving, saying the application is complete and the city is going to allow this.
So even if the thing was perfect, it would still be 30 to 60 to 30 to 90?
Correct.
30 to 90 or 30 to 60?
30 to 90, they ask
And if
for.
it gets kicked back after a few days and you get stuff in, it's another 30 to 90, the clock starts again?
To my understanding.
Okay, so you guys are, Tony, is that okay with you?
Yeah, fine.
Right.
Well,
We did have to send abutters notices to people, and I don't know if any of them showed up today.
No
You
one.
sent them certified mail?
I sure did.
Okay, great.
And
So
that's,
you-
so
As
that's
long
my,
as you did your due
that's my
diligence.
big question, cause I'm all for live music venues, you know, I'm a professional musician, I'm all for it.
Great,
But if a rock club opened next to my house,
Yeah,
I'd be a little concerned.
totally.
We have one of the abutters.
Oh.
So here, right? Is that who you are?
I'm in a butter.
You're in a butter.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So do we need to,
Ask the public for
Yeah.
any.
Yeah, absolutely, please, what's your name, sir?
Daniel Ferreira Jr., 4 Adams Street, Easthampton. A certified letter dated May 1st, 2024 from THCC that a small bar and coffee shop would be opening. Was their intention. Further investigation, I see on social media dated May 9th, they intend to open a public performance venue. There's inconsistencies in their statements. There is inconsistencies in what they say, and there's prevarication.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far.
I will.
Well, that's quite all right, but,
THCC will bring noise and parking problems that are already existing to Adams Street and make them worse.
well, I'm not saying you're wrong, but, that's why we're here having this meeting, so we can hear about you, and it sounds like the letter you got didn't mention anything about live music.
It did not.
Is this true?
We were pretty careful to use exactly the language that was required for the abutters notice. So we're not applying for an entertainment license at this time, we're just applying for a beer and wine license.
So, the abutters notification, the legal requirement is that it has the language that is posted in the newspaper. That is the only requirement. And then that's the point of the public hearing, is for the applicant to explain what their business is going to be and allow public input.
Which I did put that little bloop that was in the newspaper in the,
So all you have to send to somebody is something that you have put in the newspaper.
basically, and
And the
I thought a
newspaper-
little nicer, couple more terms of like what we do plan on doing. We could have just said this per Easthampton City, blip, blip, blip,
Right,
which
so,
is included.
yeah,
But-
so, in the public notice, which, did not mention a live music venue, correct?
Do you have a copy of it?
Well,
I don't.
if the abutters notice has to be exact,
Mhm.
exactly the same, that's what you're telling me?
So the only requirement is that the abutters notify the abutters of this meeting. There are no other detail requirements. It's to notify the public of an application and the meeting date and time, so that public has an opportunity to come and speak.
So yeah,
So-
we didn't have to put anything. We didn't even have to say who we were.
Right, okay, so, if I'm understanding this correctly, and I'm sorry, what's your name again, sir?
Daniel Ferreira Jr.
Daniel, I'm sorry. Daniel, these guys are gonna have to come before us again for an entertainment license, am I correct?
not us, or are we entertaining?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So you would do an entertainment license for any alcohol licensee. And most of our licensees apply for those annually.
Right, but so if we approve this, all we've approved is
Beer and wine.
beer and wine sales.
Correct.
They're gonna have to come before us again for a license for entertainment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
And I think, Daniel, what I'm trying to get at is, that's when you, and is another abutters notice
No.
required?
Not for an entertainment license.
I
Well, I'm
believe
here
it
to
is
ask you to
part,
deny the malt and wine license to THCC.
You're here to ask for us to deny it, is that what I
Yes.
heard correctly?
That's right.
Well, unless we can point, well, that's what I'm trying to find out, Daniel, like, it seems like they've done everything correctly. And what I'm thinking, well, if, so there's not gonna be any public notice of this live venue opening? Is that the case?
This is the public
I believe
notice
it,
for
we
the
are
application.
still
Yeah,
in
but it
the
wasn't,
downtown
the
districts
public
where
wasn't
the
told that it was-
building is.
So we're not licensing, like,
So it's,
are we licensing?
Well, it would be the same thing as a brewery coming forward for an application for a brewer's license.
Right,
If
but-
they choose to have entertainment inside the brewery, then they would get the annual entertainment license.
Right,
It wouldn't be a separate notice that they're then doing entertainment.
so you don't have to give notice for a
You do not have
live
to
music
give notice,
venue,
no.
to start a live
There are
music venue?
no state requirements for that, or local.
Huh, well, that seems weird, but that's the law. Daniel, I don't know what other redress you have, except to come with some of your neighbors to that, and to that committee meeting when the board meeting where they come before us for licensing. I mean, for the entertainment license. And in at that point, we can hear from their neighbors or their possible neighbors. And that, is this making sense?
Yeah, I mean, I've never had to go through this in my tenure here,
I'm really surprised at that.
so.
It's kind of funny. Like I said, I'm all for this venue. I'm
Yeah.
totally for it myself. But if it was, right next to my house,
Right. Every
I'd
lo-
want to know about how you're doing
Sure.
soundproofing,
I
all this sort of
think
stuff.
There might be some zoning
and we are
that helps with that
zoned.
because they're in the downtown
Yeah,
business
I can
district.
speak to that a bit. We are, it is downtown business zoned. So in terms of parking, there is not an off-street parking requirement for downtown zoned or downtown business zoned properties. That being said, we have been talking to the landlord about having some off-street parking on another property that he owns nearby for that'd be used for staff and for musicians that are playing there. So we will be able to we anticipate being able to have some of the parking off-street, though again, that's not legally required for the zoning of that
That's what
property.
we sent to our butters.
And then as far as the noise goes, though there is not a noise ordinance in Easthampton, we're still very much intending to be responsible, cooperative neighbors. My background is actually in audio engineering and audio technology, as are a few other folks that we're gonna be employing as sound techs. I've actually taught university level courses on physics and acoustics of audio and how to deal with exactly this sort of stuff. In addition to that, this is something that we also discussed with our architect, Noah at Oxbow Design Build. So we're gonna go
I know it's
above and
possible.
beyond. Yeah, we're
I
gonna
know
go
it's
above
possible
and
to
beyond
soundproof.
what is required legally within the city. We're gonna go way beyond that to make sure that we are.
Thank you.
I think additionally with a 50-person capacity, just to speak of just the physics of audio, we don't want to do damage to our staff and our patrons in general, and certainly we want to be good neighbors and good stewards of the community and not be somewhere that is necessarily a nuisance. This is something that we hope is just the tip of the iceberg, where we can grow our operations and hopefully grow our co-op. And the last thing we really need is to have our first endeavor have any kind of negativity or feedback associated with it. If anything, this is hopefully just our first step.
Right, and the good word of your neighbors would be excellent.
Absolutely.
For that.
Yes.
Okay, so you pardon me, guys, it is only my second time here, and I'm just working through a lot of stuff, and we've never done an entertainment license before, so I've never even looked into that process. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, they have everything they need to do, everything here that they need for their malt and beer and other wine and malt application. Including the public notification, which does not require them, Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong, to tell you about any live music. Am I correct so far?
Of telling me anything about this meeting, and if it's all perfunctory.
It's not. I'm trying to understand it as much as you are, sir, honestly, really. I don't, if they had to notify you that it was gonna be an entertainment, that it was going to be an entertainment venue, and they didn't, I deny this application. But they didn't have to tell you that, according to the law. So my hands are tied, and then I would say that if you had anything to say about it, and you come here with a bunch of your neighbors or similar-minded people, when the notice of the entertainment license comes up, and that's where you can redress it. And maybe you have a conversation with these guys. You know, like, I'm sure they'd be happy to talk to you.
Absolutely.
And is there a line between 1 Adams and 4 Adams where the downtown business zone
I'm not sure where
ends?
4 is.
You guys
Is that
are
in the, where 1, is it the whole building next to us, is that where?
That's 3.
So
The
you're,
other
Yeah, across the
so
street.
you're 2
I'm diagonal.
diagonally across the street?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
And do you know if you reside in the downtown business zone, or is it a residential?
I believe I'm in residential.
So that's right. So are there different
Maybe
laws
that's
that apply to downtown business zones?
So there's different zoning regulations for downtown, highway, and I can't remember the third.
And the cultural district's a little different because it's a mix, and it's the assessor, I believe, isn't it? Who decides who's actually in a butter?
Yes, and that's in our licensing
Yeah,
policy to address.
That's a whole
But
another
this,
weird thing,
right, but this
um,
is similar to Marigold and Luthier's, which I was here for as well.
Right.
Who went for the license and
Yeah.
then.
Well, it's similar also to Fort Hill, where the
Right.
assessor decide, even though on the map you're in a butter, the assessor decided you weren't.
Correct.
Okay, so this is all very technical. Okay, so as far as I know, Daniel, I'd keep, there's a way to sign up for these notification meetings with the city. So you won't just have to look at the newspaper all the time, you'll get an email, and it'll tell you, we're gonna be here, and on the agenda is gonna be this entertainment license. And then that's where you get to come in and say, and also the assessor's gonna have to probably weigh in, or I don't know.
I could get input.
Yeah, as much as I feel your concerns, absolutely, I don't think this is the forum right now to address it, because everything seems to be in order. And they've done all their due diligence.
What's the purpose then of telling me about this meeting if I can't come to ask for a denial?
Well, you can, no, you can, I could, but no, I can't, really, unless I have a reason, like a real valid reason. Not to say that your reason isn't valid, but it isn't mine. I'm here to just make sure everything's in order and following guidelines. Part of the guideline is a public notice, which I think, quite frankly, is, should include notice of intent to have a live music venue, and that's probably something I'm gonna look into. But as of right now, this is all complete, and your time to talk about that is at the license, the board meeting where we actually talk about that entertainment license. And again, you can sign up for, it's real easy to go on the website, you can sign up for our board meeting, and you'll get notifications, you'll get the agenda, you'll say, hey, we're talking about this thing. You can come, you can talk to your neighbors if they have concerns. I would also really say you should talk to these guys too. That would be, and before you go any further, maybe just open up a dialogue. But that's where, am I wrong?
No, and just to make the board aware, we had tried to implement a live outdoor entertainment policy previously, which was approved by the board for outdoor entertainment due to volumes and things like that. And then after our city solicitor dived a little deeper into it, found out that the board didn't have regulation over everyone, only under licensees and for inside.
Okay.
So that would be the entertainment license at a further date.
And I think if we can, I think in future, and in fact, I'm gonna put it on the agenda for next meeting, that we just talk about public notice.
Sure.
And how, if we add that, because that is, I think, legit.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. But
To be honest,
Daniel,
we assumed that was going to happen.
honestly, I think our hands are tied here, not tied, I mean, but we could deny it, sure, but it would be arbitrary. They've put in everything they needed to put in. That next meeting is the one that you need to come to. And you're not gonna get a public notice for it, so sign up for our licensing board notification, you'll get it, and again, please, just try to, if you guys can figure out some way to talk, that'd be great.
Sure.
And
We can absolutely let you know when the meeting is as well.
yeah, and our intent was definitely not to deceive by
They did the
any
letter of the
means.
law, and you
Yeah.
really, when you're going through these applications, no joke, if you miss something like that, it's like, this is exactly what you have to say. You don't wanna add anything.
Or deviate.
Or
Yeah,
deviate.
we did have,
So
we
it's-
the letter had, was kind of done on our letterhead, there's information how to look us up on the website, there was certainly no intent to hide anything, I mean, if it was,
I don't feel that there was, it's what it is, it's just, you did everything correctly. I think in future, I think we'd like to look into that.
Yeah.
And maybe add that to the public notice, because I think that's important, but right now, this is good. And, next time, but if you don't have to come next time, you can chat with these guys, they're all seem pretty nice, you seem pretty nice, they'll let you know. I'd have the same concern. I'd have absolutely the same concern that you have if I was there. We good? Sorry, I'm talking my head off.
yeah, happy to answer any other questions.
Absolutely.
Well, that was a big one.
So that's all in order, we just need to sign it so we can move forward.
Do we have to say any words over it?
Motion to approve it.
Can a motion to approve this?
Are we the only ones who can do that?
The board?
Well, no. As the chair, can he also do that? or
Oh,
not?
no, you'll
Okay.
want to,
I'll have to second it.
yes.
Okay, I second it.
Yeah, so next.
She seconded.
Oh, who made the motion? Sorry.
He made the motion.
Great.
Did I make the motion?
Oh.
Scott.
Okay, all in favor?
Alright. No, aye.
So each one of you signs that, and then tomorrow, because we have finance, I'm not gonna stay to do this tonight. I will submit that tomorrow morning to the ABCC, and I'll give you their confirmation for the submission. Okay?
Thank you
All right,
so
great.
much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Sorry we had to do, it's just
Nope, due
fair is
diligence.
fair.
Yep. Absolutely.
Is this was the top?
I hope so, we just signed it.
Just kind of in the
Yes,
middle. Right
that's
here?
the top, yes. Put it right back. Thank you. You guys are all set?
Okay,
All right,
thank you so much.
Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then you're gonna make a motion to close the public hearings.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second that
Yes,
motion.
sorry.
On favor, aye. Public hearing is closed.
So, the next thing on the list is new and old
We
business.
got time? We should have time, because last time we kicked this down the road.
Yeah, there's finance in here at 5:30.
That's what I'm saying. But go ahead.
But in the tune of what we
Yeah,
were
yeah,
just
yeah.
going
Yeah, yeah,
through, determine a butters guidelines for advertising. So I think, that was on my agenda for tonight. I wasn't able to connect with the assessor to ask her for information.
Are you the assessor?
I am.
Hi.
But I think it would be great to push this to the next meeting and where we also can comb through these policies, talk about abutters notifications and how I did put in here 300-foot radius instead of.
Yeah, I'll look that over. Did I have to, before we close the meeting, what do we have to do for the next, how do we put in the meeting, an item on the agenda?
You tell me what you want.
And
And
as
I
long as
put
it's
it on the
posted
agenda.
48 hours before, is that the law?
No, so Barb needs it the week before.
Okay, so I'll just send you, because I have a couple things, obviously. I
Yeah,
don't wanna put
and
in.
as soon as I submit an agenda, I can amend it up until the hour of
Oh, really?
the meeting. So as long as I get an agenda in, if last minute you're like, I need to discuss this at the meeting, we can amend the agenda. Not advisable, but it can happen for urgent situations.
Work to create a policy
Or when I.
for the next meeting. Do we have to have a meeting?
Yeah, how do we
to
not violate open
convene?
meeting laws to discuss this?
So it has to be under new or old business, or if you wanna have it as a public hearing where you're allowing public discussion.
No, but we wanna create a
Read
process
your thing and-
prior to the next meeting. So, for the outdoor, for Ned's thing.
Yeah, you can't have a discussion about that as a board,
Ugh.
outside of a meeting.
Isn't,
Can we convene a meeting?
Like,
Put it on the agenda and bring it
You-
up at the meeting.
yeah, you can.
Yeah, but
So
that
it can
means
only
we're
be
gonna
once
have
a month.
Yeah,
so that means we're gonna kick that can down the road and we're gonna open discussions of that process during a public meeting with everybody here?
you don't have to.
No, we have to.
Well, I'm saying you don't have to put it under public hearing. You can put under new old business where the public is not allowed to discuss that with you. A public hearing just means
Then we can
it's
chat just the three of us.
just, yes.
Oh, thank you.
So
That's
that's
what I
what
was
I'm
like,
saying,
how are we
is-
gonna
right.
do business if we can only?
Right, so that's where you go under new old business, so determines,
So I'll
and here are all the public hearings where we're allowing public speak like Daniel to come forward.
So we're not gonna have a process in place by the next
Well,
meeting?
you can read through the
Lindsay's
policies,
process,
you can comment on the policy, I've given you all commenting abilities, and you can say, this is what you wanna see, I can edit it for everyone before the next meeting, and then you can say, this is what I think 500.
Yeah, put your comments and
Instead of
thoughts on
300,
it.
yeah.
and we'll
I think we should all
discuss it when
commit
we
to-
have it.
And that way,
Read
all
and
of you can
edit
see
that.
each other's comments and thoughts too, prior to the meeting. It's all in a Google shared drive, you can all see each other's comments, you can look through the document, you can make comments on what you wanna see tweaked or added, and I can do that as we go, and that way when we come forward at the June meeting, we can say, okay, here's the document, we all have suggested, what do you want, like, comb through it, speaking, face to face.
Copy, great, thanks.
Make sense?
Yeah, sorry, I have so
No,
many
no,
questions.
it's
I just wanna know how to do this.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So
Um,
I think we just, new and old business, we bring that to June. And no motion needed on that. Our next meeting is June 11th, which we will have another full agenda.
Yeah, it seems that way.
And now you will just make a motion to close the meeting, adjourn.
Motion to close the meeting, to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Aye.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.